everyone for exploring all there is to explore at Baker Mansion. We're here with the Executive Director, Dustin Smith. Welcome in.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Sounds like you've got a busy year. As far as stepping into this role, you were kind of saying the first year you're kind of assessing, right, everything that there is, and now you're kind of looking at things to bring to the mansion, of course, events. I went out to a concert on the lawn the other day. I mean, you guys are you got a lot going on.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of stuff scheduled over at the mansion. Really, as you said, this season's my action year. Last year, I was observing things, taking in, what can we do differently here? What can we expand upon? So, alongside all of our legacy events, I'll call them, such as our Sunday on the Lawn concerts, our lecture series at the Railroaders Memorial Museum, and even during the spooky season, our Haunted Lantern tours of the Baker Mansion. I've added in some new things / revamped things this year. So some of the things I want to talk about here today include our Civil War Living History event that we have coming up later this month that I'm really excited about. Civil War history is my bread and butter, so to bring that back to the Baker Mansion is something that I'm really stoked to have. It is called A Mansion Divided, the Baker Family in Blair County in the Civil War. That takes place on Sunday, August 24th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's going to be a living history day. We're going to have individuals, including myself, decked out in historical costumes and portraying members of the Baker family, and then also members of a group that have been, for better or worse, nicknamed over the years, the Chicken Raiders. Long story short, they were a group of militiamen who defended the Cove area of Blair County, so around Roaring Spring, during the Civil War leading up to the Battle of Gettysburg, because there was a fear that the Confederacy, should they be successful, can march all the way up here to Altoona. So we're gonna have all that. We're gonna have pop-up exhibits featuring Civil War artifacts, some like live history demonstrations with live firing demonstrations with weapons, and then also we're gonna cap off the day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon with a Sunday on the Lawn concert performance by the 46th Pennsylvania Regiment Band.
Okay.
Yeah. And then in addition to that this year, we are bringing back our historical bus tours, renamed Then and Now Historical Bus Tours. They are going to explore the Columbia Park, the Mansion Park, and even the Knickerbocker development areas of Altoona. And they're going to be hosted by Dr. Michael Farrow, and that's going to take place on Sunday, September 7th. We have 2 tours this year. We got one at 1 o'clock, and then another at 3:30, so options.
Yeah.
We like that for people. And then we have our paranormal seminar and investigation with a local paranormal group named JABA. That's taking place at the mansion on Sunday, September 13th Saturday, September 13th from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And tickets for everything that you've been hearing now are available now on our website.
So you can go in and investigate?
Yes, they're going to give a little presentation on what they do, some of the equipment that we have available to kind of track some of these paranormal happenings and whatnot.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be a very immersive evening, I will say that much. So we're really excited to have them back as well.
I think it's the perfect environment for something like that. And even when it was my first time going to visit the mansion, of course, I'm thinking there's so much to be said here as far as history. Like, why haven't I been here before? And I think a lot of other people can relate with that when they finally do make their way out. I mean, there's so much history.
Since I've started last year, that is something I've heard all too often is I've lived here all my life. I've never been to the Baker Mansion, which I tell people, explore your backyard, explore your local history. Even though the mansion is very deeply rooted in being in a 19th century Iron Masters mansion, there's history for everyone to learn there. This year, owing to the fact that we're having our Civil War event coming back, we're leaning more deeply into the Civil War because there's a lot of connective tissue between the mansion, Blair County, and the Civil War. Nothing like Gettysburg.
Well, right.
But still, there's a lot of these things, such as the Chicken Raiders, that people really don't know about, but it happened in our backyards, on property that people live on, and they don't even know. But then also, it's a story of how our community came to be here. This mansion, when it was built, it was in the wilderness. There were no suburbs, there was no mansion park. So this was among the initial things and families that came here to what would become Altoona. So it's learning more about our area and kind of like what built up our community here. So I think there's a lot for people to learn who live here in the community, but also those who visit Blair County as well.
Yeah, there is quite a bit to know too with the family, the Baker family, how it originated. And I mean, you guys are experts in the individual family members and how this all came to be. I know in the past I'd been to, you had like an exhibit on, you know, the Italian population in Altoona, then you had the German population. Do you have an exhibit currently right now that people can check out that's kind of interchangeable?
Yeah, so we, I'd say 2 years or so, I've kind of put us on that track. We're going to have different revolving exhibits at the mansion. Currently, our exhibits consist of a German-American heritage in our hallway upstairs. We have a Blair County in the Civil War room, again, really leaning into the Civil War. We have an African-American and the Underground Railroad in Blair County exhibit, a World War II in Blair County exhibit, and also like an iron tools room that kind of like, it kind of gives a history of like the Allegheny furnace, what people built from the iron that was produced there, so on and so forth. So a lot of cool stuff there to explore.
All the rooms there are to explore, the way they were, you know, when it was built back in the day, the architecture, the wallpaper, the furniture. I mean, it's just all really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've sung his praises enough many times over the years, but I'm going to continue to do it. Michael Allison, whenever he restored the mansion back to what it originally looked like back in 1849 when the family lived there, I think people are really taken by that whenever they come to visit. That, plus the fact that we have a lot of original family artifacts inside. One of the biggest compliments I think I've ever received there as of yet was we had a gentleman come in, I think a couple weeks ago, and he visited Monticello recently. And he came to the mansion, and believe it or not, I swear to you, he said, you know what, I've been to Monticello, and I am more impressed by the Baker Mansion. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, that is awesome. And it's because we have so many original artifacts, and it's done up to look exactly like the mansion when the family lived there. So yeah, a ton of stuff going on. Next year, we're actually gonna have more exhibits revolved in. They're gonna focus on America 250, you know, the celebration next year. So taking the place of some of the exhibits that we have there now is going to be a Blair County Presidential Hall, which focuses on presidents who have visited Blair County, either campaigning or in their presidency. We're going to have, within the hallway, as you said earlier, we have like different heritage groups in there. We're going to lean into our documentary film that was produced last year by director Mark Frederick, Blair County, A People's History, and we're going to make an exhibit named after that with all the different groups and cultural groups that have built up Blair County. So it's going to be a hall dedicated to them. And then also going within our Civil War room this year, we're going to rotate in Blair County in the American Revolutionary War era, and then also the pre-colonial era. So we're going to be exploring some local Native American history in there as well. So I'm really excited. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Well, if that wasn't a recommendation or a testimony, I don't know what is. Make your way out to Baker Mansion. Check out some of their programs. Of course, so many educational components. And we're going to be back in just a bit because we didn't even touch